Hello, and welcome to this SLCP contract management workshop. My name is Stephanie Casper, and I will be hosting. Without further ado, let me share my screen. Okay, so we are going to be discussing the various different types of contracts. But first and foremost, what is the Society of Law Contracts and Property? The Society of Law Contracts and Property, or SLCP, is an academic society within the College of Business Administration, but we are open to any major. We study and network with professionals in the fields of law, contracts, and property. Specifically, law, contract management, and property management. So next up, who am I and why do I get to talk to you? My name is Stephanie Casper, and I am the president of the Society of Law Contracts and Property this year. I'm a fifth-year senior at Cal Poly Pomona. My major is international business, and I have minors in Chinese and contract management. I have been in SLCP since spring of 2019, and I have taken all of the contract management minor classes and the property management class with Dr. Wyatt, as well as his business law class. So if you have questions about our advisor, Dr. Wyatt, who is also the advisor of the business law and contract management emphasis in the FRL department, as well as the contract management minor. If you have questions about him, how to get in contact with him, or if you have questions about the minor or questions about the classes or the club, I either know the answer or know who does. So a slight overview of what we're going to be discussing today. We are first going to discuss fixed price contracts. We're going to zero in on the firm fixed price contract and then some other variations of the fixed price contract. Then we will switch over to the cost reimbursable contracts, some different types of cost reimbursable contracts, and then the AAR, applicable, allowable, and reasonable standard. Then we'll have a quick knowledge check. And then in the live session, we had a Q&A. Q&A doesn't do much good on a recording, so I'll just show you some links to reach out to the club if you have questions. So first off, fixed price contracts. They have a fixed price that is negotiated at contract award. So contracts have three phases: the pre-award phase, the award phase, and the post-award phase. In the pre-award phase, the sellers are each trying to sell their product to the buyer. Now, we're talking about federal contracts, so in this case, the buyer would be the federal government. During the award phase, one seller is chosen, and all of the terms are set in stone. In the post-award phase, the contract is being carried out. So the item that is being contracted gets built and gets delivered to the government, and the government pays the contractor. In fixed price contracts, the price is set in stone when all the terms are set in stone at contract award. The costs will not be reimbursed as they come. So the contractor has to account for them in the negotiated price. The contractor will make their money from profit. And we know that profit is the price awarded to the contractor minus the costs to make the thing that is being contracted out. So be careful, because if you set your price too low, you don't make any money. You can actually lose money on a fixed price contract. On the other hand, fixed price contracts are often used when there's high competition. So if you price too high, you might not get the award at all. So the firm fixed price contract, as the name suggests, the price is fixed. The only way to change the price on a firm fixed price contract is to appeal to the Armed Services Board of Contract Appeals, the ASBCA, or the Civil Board of Contract Appeals, the CBCA. And you are appealing that the situation is such that it should not have been a firm fixed price contract, or that you could not have known that it should not have been a firm fixed price contract, so it should be changed now. Firm fixed price contracts are used when there is fierce competition. And something you have to really keep in mind is the risk versus reward factor. So even if there isn't fierce competition, for some contractors, the firm fixed price contract is still the best option. And here's why. In a firm fixed price contract, you bear all of the risks. You bear the risk of cost fluctuations, you bear the risks of loss for a very large portion of the contract. if you can manage your risks very well and you are familiar with your risks and you are familiar with the ways to manage them, then you can pretty much control for what you're going to make. If that's the case for you, then taking on that extra that profit with that extra risk is very much worth it for you. It is not unheard of for a firm fixed price contract to have a profit of upwards of 20%, maybe even 25%, which is way higher than a cost reimbursable contract. So if you're not afraid of those risks, this could be the contract for you. But it's definitely the contract for the government, because the government is not assuming the risk of cost fluctuations. But there are some other different types of fixed price contracts. First, we have our FPEPA, the fixed price contract with economic price adjustments. Economic price adjustments are in place in this type of contract when the materials or the labor that goes into the product is known for being volatile. If, say, gasoline is an input, we know that gasoline can be $3 one week and $5 the next, because we've seen it happen. Whenever we go from winter to summer, the price changes dramatically. So if you can expect the costs to change on a whim, then you might consider asking for a fixed price contract with an economic price adjustment, which would allow you to increase the price if the costs were to increase by over 20%. But it also means that the price could decrease if the costs are lower than the projected costs by over 20%. Then we have a fixed price incentive contract. You'll notice there's this little graph right here, and it shows the profit. So this is the profit, this is the cost, and this line right here is the price. So from here to here, the price can actually increase as the cost increases. So both the government and the contractor are bearing that monetary loss when the costs increase. Both the contractor is losing profit and the government is paying more up until this point right here. This is called the point of total assumption. Well, at that point, the price is fixed. That's why it's called a fixed price incentive contract. At this point, the contractor is bearing all of the cost fluctuations. And once you hit that x-axis against the target cost, your profit's zero, and you can actually lose money on that contract. But you are a little bit less likely to lose money on a fixed price incentive contract versus a firm fixed price contract. Now, a fixed price award contract is when there is an award tacked onto your fixed price. So you agree upon the price, which it should be what you expect your costs to be plus what you expect your profits to be. But in addition to that, the government adds on an extra quality, say how clean the product looks at the end. And an award panel will determine how well you met that additional standard. And they can award you extra money on top of your fixed price for meeting that standard that they set on top of just completion of the contract. And then finally, we have a firm fixed price level of effort contract, where the terms of the contract are just really ambiguous. There's no way to determine whether you did the terms of the contract or not, whether you met them or not. So in those rare cases, the government just determines that if you put forth a certain level of effort over the duration of the contract, you get the price of the contract. If you don't, you'll get a percentage of that price. So next are cost reimbursable contracts. In these contracts, the government reimburses the costs incurred. So the contractor in this case, they will get all of their costs reimbursed that they incur for the contract. And then on top of that, they will receive a fee for having completed the contract. So this is where the contractor is making their money. Remember, in fixed prices, they're getting their money from profit. In cost reimbursable, they're getting their money from fees. So the government is here bearing the risk of cost fluctuations. So now let's go back to that risk versus reward thing. The risk is really low for the contractor here. So the potential for reward is also going to be low. It's not unheard of for a cost plus fixed fee contract to have a fee that works out to roughly 2% of the costs of the contract. It's not going to be particularly high because you're not bearing any risk. Well, maybe bearing some risk, but not nearly as much as in a fixed price contract. So I mentioned the cost plus fixed fee cost plus fixed fee contract. So this is the most well-known type of cost reimbursable contract because it's self-explanatory. The government pays for the reimbursement of all costs and then gives a fixed fee to the contractor. That fee is fixed at contract award. So at contract award, they would say, for example, that they're going to give the contractor all of the costs that it takes to make whatever they're making, and then they're going to pay like $100,000 on top of it. Then the contractor says, yes, that sounds like a good fee. This is the most desired contract by most contractors because it's so low risk. There are other types of cost reimbursable contracts though. There's a cost sharing contract where there is no fee. Typically this will happen where monetary gains are not the main point of the contract. For research and development contracts, for instance, where there's more to be gained, there's information to be gained as well. There's also a cost plus incentive fee contract where the fee is determined on a similar scale to the fixed price incentive contract. So the higher your costs are, the lower your fee will be. The lower your costs are, the higher your fee will be. Then there is a cost plus award fee contract, which is very similar to a fixed price award contract. So your costs are covered, but your fee is determined based on how well you meet that criteria that the award panel sets out for you. And if you've heard of a cost plus percentage of the cost contract, forget it. It is illegal. The reason for that is a cost plus percentage of the cost contract means that you get more money for spending more money, for allowing your costs to increase. Now, clearly, the government does not want to incentivize increasing costs. So they don't allow contracts that would incentivize that. So we don't do cost plus percentage of the cost. We do cost plus fixed fee, cost sharing, cost plus incentive fee, and cost plus award fee. So now the thing about cost reimbursement is that every cost that is going to be reimbursed has to be allocable, allowable, and reasonable. To determine allocability, think of this. Is the cost incurred specifically for the purpose of the contract? If so, it's allocable to the contract. Does the cost benefit both this contract and others? If so, then the part that does benefit this contract is allocable to this contract and can be covered. If it's necessary for the overall operation of the business, even though the direct relationship of any particular cost objective cannot be shown, it can still be covered. And it can still be allocable as long as it is necessary for the operation of the business, which is therefore necessary to complete the contract. Allowable. Allowable costs must be allocable and reasonable. In addition, any costs mutually determined by the parties to be unallowed will not be reimbursed. So if both the government and the contractor agree that a certain cost will not be reimbursed, that stands. Reasonable. To determine reasonability, think about whether that type of cost is generally recognized as ordinary and necessary for the conducting of the contractor's business. Think about if generally accepted sound business practices would allow for this cost. Think about the contractor's responsibility to the government and to other customers, and watch out for any significant deviations from the contractor's established practices. So if the contractor is paying for something that they never normally would and trying to say that that's a cost reimbursable situation, most likely it's not. If they always fly their representatives for business class and they're trying to fly a representative first class, that's not going to fly. It's not going to be reimbursed. Granted, first class tickets are never reimbursed anyways. Only economy class plane tickets when necessary, or business class if the flight is over 7 hours. But that's just a bonus tidbit of information. Now, without further ado, let's see what you know. Is the following type of contract fixed price or cost reimbursable? So a contract that has a fee, is it fixed price or is it cost reimbursable? It's cost reimbursable. In which type of contract, fixed price or cost reimbursable, does the government bear the risk of fluctuating prices? Cost reimbursable. This type of contract has the highest potential for reward for the contractor, fixed price or cost reimbursable? Fixed price. In which type does the contractor make its money from profit? Fixed price. And allocable, allowable, and reasonable is crucial for which type of contract? Fixed price or cost reimbursable? Cost reimbursable. Thank you for listening to this presentation. If you are interested in joining the Cal Poly Pomona Slack, you can do so by typing in cpp.slcp.slack.com. If you're using your CPP email address, it should automatically allow you into the Slack. If not, feel free to contact me, Stephanie Casper, at smcasper@cpp.edu. That's smcasper@cpp.edu, and I can add you to the Slack. Our Instagram is at cppslcp. Our email is calpolypomonaslcp@gmail.com. And our website is calpolyslcp.org. So feel free to check us out on any of those platforms and ask us any questions you have. Thank you so much for coming to this presentation and have a great day. Bye.